Good morning. So glad to see you this morning. Just some morning thoughts. We know that many of you who follow the various platforms that we have, that there's no in-person service. So I was told by the virtual campus that, hey, we're still looking for something. So this morning, I'm just going to give you some morning thoughts. And it comes from where we've been, and we know we're about to head into second quarter. So I want us to examine some things that we are doing and some things that we can do different. And there are possibly some things we need to look at to really change in our life. We've been talking about the story of David. And that story can belong to each and every one of us because all of our destination may be the same, but our journeys will be different. And so sometimes we have to stop comparing ourselves to other people because their journey is different than yours. And so when you look at that, we have to, first of all, do two things. We have to acknowledge that we can't do it by ourselves. And so what David did was he gave God permission and authority to replant and restructure his life. You can read the stories out of Psalm 51. It talks about creating me a new heart and renewing me the right spirit. And so a lot of times, I always talk about transformational information. A lot of times we've been fed stuff that really has nothing to do with our destiny. And so sometimes that knocks our focus off. And so this morning, I want to talk to you about, number one, stop comparing yourselves. And I thought about something when I was working on this little short piece was, well, why don't we see God? Because sometimes we're trapped by things that take our attention away from God, that makes it pretend that it is God. And so a lot of people don't seek the healing of God because they're still in denial of the hurt and the pain. Because it's easier to cover up than it is to dig up and to release and to heal and move on. And so as David, I think it was 3 to 5 years later when Nathan came to him and said to him, hey, you've got some challenges here. And sometimes we don't like to be challenged. We don't like to be heard. We don't like to be exposed. But if it's not exposed, then how can it change? So this leads us to why we're headed into April. Is because April is designated for Resurrection Sunday. There's a part of the biblical history of the Bible that says, take up your cross. So the question becomes, what are we going to do differently? First of all, we must need to know the difference between fantasy and reality. We must know the difference between pain and development. And a lot of times we go through things that we feel like are painful, but really they're steps of development. And so we have to look at it when we say, okay, replant, what does that mean? Sometimes the seed has been poisoned by other people and other things. History, family. And so we're producing, but are we producing a seed of righteousness? In other words, do we go according to the Bible that treats everybody, that where God has no respect of person? How do we treat ourselves and how do we treat other people? And really times how we treat other people is a reflection of how we think about ourselves. And so therefore we mistreat people sometimes. And so I always ask people, so whether you believe in God or not, let's say at the end of the day, if you have to stand before God, what are you going to say? That I really control, I beat them down, I told them, really? You're going to try to take a religious practice to heaven and tell God, when he said the tradition of men make the word of God of no effect. The Bible says for God is a spirit and they that worship him. There's a difference in going to church and a difference in living a lifestyle that is that represents the God that you serve. Because many times we just want to represent ourselves. So we look at this, and like I said again, many people are struggling because they don't want to realize that they're hurt, because no one wants to feel exposed. So here's the thing that I want to share with you that I look at. Words mean nothing if there's no action to them. And a lot of people have told things, and a lot of times it's misdirection, it's misinformation. People will tell you things to make you feel like you're part of their team when you're really not. And sometimes they're there just to seek your information. So the question becomes, are you seeking transformational information? Or are you trying to be and become what others are or what they have been? So in a short story, it becomes, where are you? At this moment, at the last of the first quarter, where are you in your purpose-driven life? What is your destiny? What are your goals? See, many people aren't checking and qualifying the information that people give them and that people say. So they take them at their word. What you need to do is observe their action. Are they trying to help me? Or are they trying to imprison me so I can carry out their agenda? See, one of the factors in having poison fruit is having a poison tree that has a poison root that had a poison seed. And so sometimes people come along because there is a thing called evil in the world where many people don't have our best interest, your best interest in. It's all about them. And see, here's the thing. You can't change the fruit until you change the root. And we need to go to the root cause of a situation. And sometimes it is being dramatized when you're small. Because I was doing some study on how sometimes the brain is reshaped and things happen. And so many things that we struggle with today happened to us in our childhood. There was an abandonment. There was always chaos and confusion. There was always struggle and survival. So for a person who deals with struggle and survival, they have a problem dealing with opportunity and being optimistic about life. They only see life through a broken glass. As we get ready to head to this opportunity to grow, the question is, are you healing or still denying where you are? Because it's one thing to acknowledge it, it's another thing to move on from it. And this is why I go back to what the great Thanos said, and I oftentimes repeat that, and people say, why? Because it is very significant. And I'm going to find it. It says, as long as there are those who are not able to accept what was. There are some people who refuse to walk away from their past. Their past has corrupted their present, so then you can't have a positive future. And so we try to substitute that with doing this and that, and I'm busy and I'm this, but we're not productive. There are things that cause you to look in the mirror and not love and like the person that you see. Well, part of healing is forgiving. And sometimes you have to forgive others, even when you don't care to forgive others, but you have to forgive them because you have to let it go. And as we head toward Resurrection Sunday, this is why I'm putting this out here. You're going to have to, I want you to heal. Okay? And part of healing is accepting that, you know what? At that point in that time in my life, I didn't have control. I didn't know. I was misinformed. I allowed someone to lead me who really didn't care about my best interest, because some people want to poison you and then they move on and you're left with the poison. And I am saying that we all know the story of resurrection. Every one of you can get up at Resurrection Sunday and talk about A, B, and C, but I'm interested in not the cross, but how do you plan to rise? Because at some point you have to see God. And he's given you gifts and talents. And you're going to tell him, well, Lord, they oppressed me. Well, Lord, they told me I wasn't smart. Well, Lord, they said this. You think that's going to work? This is why this to sound maybe a little rough, a little tough, maybe a little personal, maybe hit hard, however. But sometimes you got to be hit to get focused. So I say to you again, he said, as long as there are those who are unable to accept what was the past, they will always tend to those trying to embrace. I need you to start focusing on embracing your day. And there's cortisol in the human mind that wakes up and helps a person think 70 to 80% negative. You have to have something to combat that. You have to focus on being positive. You have to focus on, you know what, today's got to be a good day. Not because I won, not because I stepped on my enemy's head, but I've made progress. So you're trying to win when you haven't made progress. Progress is the key. The other part is impatience and immediate gratification will hinder the process of growth. So I want you to think about that. He says this, I do not want to focus on what was. So we have about 3 weeks that we have to really let some things go. There are some things that we need to take to the cross. There are some things that we need to put on the cross. And there's some things that when we get in the grave, we need to leave them. Because here's the challenge, for God is a spirit and they that worship him. You have to ask yourself the question, he put you in human form. You have to ask yourself the question, am I worshiping God daily with my lifestyle? Am I giving my best for the talents and gifts that he's given me? Have I discovered who I am? Have I discovered where I'm at? And have I discovered where I'm going? My discovery does not depend on you. But it can hinder me if I give you permission to clog my mind. If I buy into your negativity. If I move to your city of brokenness. If I hang out in the valley of uncertainty. If I hang out with wannabes, you're too important. You're too important to your present. You're too important to your future. And you're too important to God. And you're too important to the people that are in your life. Remember, these are just morning thoughts. And so these are the things that I talk about, the new me. And so people are like, what do you mean? I'm this and I'm that. And you're not what you are. And you're not what you think you are. And you haven't discovered what you're supposed to be. Because you've been on other people's systems and not on your system that's linked to God. What are you feeding your gifts? Now I'm going to get to a point because I said this was early this morning. I told you the story of David, give God permission. In other words, when I give you permission, God, there's some things that I don't like about me. And there's some things that I cannot control about me. And there's some things that I don't understand about me. But Lord, I trust you. See, this is the first step in communicating, is beginning to trust in faith. Not what I see, but what I believe. Not what I was told, but what I am learning. Not what I sing, but what I believe in my creative mind that was given to me from my Father. That's my tool every day to dig myself from underneath the foot of oppression. People can oppress you. Jobs can oppress you. Nations can oppress you. Government can oppress you. But they don't own heaven and they don't own God. You have to see yourself. You have to ask God to help you heal. But many people hide and deny that they've ever been hurt. Help me grow from my brokenness. Help me grow. Help me grow from my dysfunction and procrastination. Help me grow from hating who I am and hating what I've done. Help me, God. I'm in the tomb. I'm wrestling. I have the Jacob spirit. I am wrestling with myself because there's a better version of me, but I don't trust myself. Don't trust you, trust God. Just stay focused and let God work with you. Don't worry about who's judging you, because the people that are judging you are behind you. The people that are ahead of you are trying to pull you forward. That's why the writer wrote, forgetting those things which are behind me. And remember, the path will never be easy. The purpose will never be easy. Why? You're going to need some strength when you get there to be able to stand. If you're weak down, my God, if you're weak with 20 pounds, how can you handle 110 pounds? Because if you can't handle 20, you can't master 110. And so therefore you have to go through the valley of the shadow of death. You have to feel that people will try to break you. The reason they try to break you is because they didn't make you. Now I better slow that down, because I feel my little engine about to crank. Let me draw this in. People try to break you because they didn't make you. And because they didn't make you, they can't control you. And if they can't control you, they can't control your destiny. So they use words as darts. They don't try to kill you. They just shoot enough darts that you bleed to death, which means you become faithless. So then when you become faithless, now you need support. And so you reach out to humans rather than reaching out to God. Does that make sense? So quit denying that we're hurt. Many are struggling because they didn't check to see who they were hanging with. Everybody that you're with are not good for you. All lessons that you learn are not helpful for you. Some things are to entrap you. Remember, today is just morning thoughts. We got about 3 weeks that I'm going to work every time you see me about you cracking an egg so you can be what God called you to be, not what man has positioned you to be. And quit comparing yourself. And so here's the thing, I said this earlier, words mean nothing if there's no action. Do you have an action plan to change? And you have to realize one of the things, when I was talking about people wanting to control you, people will begin to discredit you. Everything you do, they put you in a spirit of dysfunction. Everything you do, they want to act as though you made a mistake. Listen, mistakes are part of being great. If you didn't make a mistake, you wouldn't be smarter. Learn from it, move on from it, and let it go. You got to figure out what's your purpose. Here's the thing I want to get to, which is close to, we're almost there. Letting go so I can grow. The Bible says, and David went on and grew great. I'm going to say this to you. Greatness stands before you. It's up to you if you're willing to reach out to receive it. It's not coming to you. No one's going to give it to you. Many people are not going to have compassion for you for what you're going through. But here's what I will say to you. You have enough in you. Your weakness is not your substance. Your weakness is your concentration, your focus, and your belief. You have to stir up your gift. Very few people are going to open the door for you. Letting go. We got 3 weeks. Letting go so I can grow. Wanting you to be what God's will is for you. Rather than, and let me say it this way. I just saw this. Many people are trying to get God to fulfill their will rather than submitting to his will. As you begin to start your day throughout the world and through all of our global connections, and it is because of the virtual campus that I am out this morning and sharing with you, because they said, yeah, you give them all, but what do we do? You know, we're looking for a word. We listen to you before we go listen to them. So I thank you. So this is why we're here together this morning. Is you have to understand. You're trying to get God to follow your will. Have you checked to see what his will is for you? He said this in Jeremiah, and he was talking to the children of Israel. They had been being disobedient. So this is the little tough part right here. We only got a few minutes together. Little tough part right here. And so God said, hey, I need you to refocus. I need you to replant. I need you to rededicate yourself. I need you to quit watching the lives of the people who care nothing for you. In other words, he's saying, I want you to come from out from among them and be ye separated. Not that you're better, but you can't stay focused doing the wrong thing. And he says, if you don't, I'm going to put you under the foot of your enemy. Sometime we're going through things that we brought on ourselves. And I know that's not an easy piece to say. But here's the thing. When they question God, because we don't care when we're enjoying ourselves until, watch this word, and it's going to sting, the punishment comes. The conviction comes. It was fun while we were doing it. But now when we got to be held accountable for what we've done, we struggle. And he said to them in Jeremiah, I know the plans I have for you. The problem is you don't want God's plan. Either you're trying to get even, either you're trying to discover what you are without God. And so he says, I know the plans I have for you. Those plans are for good. But the problem is you hung out with people that were temporary. You hung out with the 5 foolish. You didn't stay with the 5 wise, because the 5 foolish were the ones that were enjoying themselves in immediate gratification. And the 5 wise were the ones that were planning and setting up their life so the timing would be good. So when they bloomed, they wouldn't have to die. And it is God's word and it is God's grace that when we discover and walk in our purpose and walk in our destiny and walk in our confidence that we are resemblance of our Father. He made you in his image. If you're broken today, he didn't make you to stay broken. If you're hurting today, he didn't make you to continue to hurt. He came to heal. He knew that things would happen. The problem is you didn't expect anything to happen. You expected to win. You still can win, but there's a right way. Letting go, following the will of God, being able to be strong enough to accept the person in the mirror and tell the person in the mirror, you're better than this. So I say this to you. Many people have aligned themselves with the tradition of men. I'm going to say to you, find a place of worship that put God's first and God's people. You are critical. You are important to the kingdom. As the Bible would say, ye are the salt of the earth. It's not about things. It's not about titles. It's about having a good, clear conscience before God. So ask yourself, the things that I'm doing, the present behavior that I have. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be perfect because there's no perfect person. But I'll say this to you. Most people haven't asked for forgiveness in a long time. And if they ask for forgiveness, have you really changed your ways? It goes back to David. David gave God permission and authority. Not excuses, not complaints, not blame. He accepted that he needed to do something different. As we prepare ourselves for Resurrection Sunday, I would encourage you, for those that are local or around, anybody within a 50-mile radius, let's come, let's chat, let's talk, let's heal, let's grow, let's develop, and let's build a legacy. Here's one thing that will happen as you begin to do this. You will grow sick of your own excuses. Many of us don't want to die to the problem because we're afraid of the darkness. And he says, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of, I will, for thou art. See, at first you feel like you will be dramatized. No, what you'll be is released. This is the whole point of the tomb. This is the whole point of carrying things and leaving them. He said, bring your burdens. Take your burdens to the Lord and leave them there. It's something in the Bible. I can't remember. If someone can post it, it'd be great. And leave them there. The problem is you never take them. Because your mind tells you, you got it. And I'm going to say this to you. When you have it, God doesn't have it. When you think you're the solution, there is no solution. So what happens that many of us are struggling with is the strategy of unrest. Yes, we can do things, we can go places, but our spirit is not resting because our spirit is not home and in the right place. And so I encourage you, walk away from people who want to oppress you, because if they can oppress you, your vision can never come to fruition. And let me tell you something. Here is something that I heard. Quit waiting on the right time. Now is the time. Seek out, pray, ask God to discover. Invest in yourself, strengthen your education, strengthen your skill set, update your credentials. Begin to walk by faith, not by ears, not by sight. Don't live under the foot of other people's opinion. And quit looking for the easy way. Because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. I hope this morning that I have said something to you. Please share, like, and post. We will be back in. I will be back again live on Wednesday to share more of this information with you. and of course, Sunday, first Sunday in April. So therefore, I want you to take what I've said. Please take notes, re-listen to it, and let's work toward transformational information. Why? It's important to the day. The day has value. So does your future. And so does your grandchildren and everyone that you're in contact with. Be the seed. Be the change. God bless you. I'll see you soon.